Jonathan Jones, how we doing today?
How's it going? How's it going? Doing well, you?
Doing okay. A tough loss there. Another tough one for you guys on the defensive side of the ball. You said after the game, you spoke to the Boston Herald and mentioned that the secondary was maybe not communicating great. In what ways were you not communicating well, and how did that sort of reflect on the play on the field?
I think there were just a few instances where, we get the call, we get lined up, and Miami would make a motion, and we just wouldn't react in time. I think a lot of that came down to just being on the same page of how we handle things, and on plays yesterday, there were some times where we weren't, all on the same page.
Obviously, Jalen Waddle was a problem throughout much of the game, especially in the first half. Was he doing anything that you guys didn't expect, or was he, that just one of those Tua and Waddle are pretty good and they had a good day kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, he came out, he ran some good routes, was able to get open, and hats off to them to making plays. I wouldn't say they did anything, completely different, than what we expected. They just made the plays that they made.
Did you guys prepare for that sort of secondary motion and things that you just described in the backfield that kind of gave you trouble out there? Is that something that you focused on in practice last week?
I mean, it is, but the thing is, you have several calls in a week, and you can't, you have limited practice time. It's not making excuses, so you can't go through and walk through or practice every single rep. And so, that comes down to just, going through your plays and understanding, this could happen in this call, even though we didn't practice it. This is something they could do, and how we handle it, and just being on the same page when that does happen.
Were you surprised that you didn't have a padded practice on Wednesday?
No. I mean, there's a limited amount of practices that we get to be padded in the year, and we've pretty much had, padded practices every Wednesday up until this point. And so at some point as a coach, you have to decide, what week we're not going to go padded. Last week was just a week we decided not to.
There were a few reports out of the post-game locker room that maybe guys were laughing, telling jokes. Did you have a problem with the way guys handled the loss in the locker room, or whatever went on in there after the game?
I saw that report, and no, I didn't see that. And at the end of the day, what I can't do is tell someone how to handle, their emotions. But what I always ask for is everyone's best, and when they go out there and to fight and to leave it out on the field, and I definitely think every guy that stepped on that field yesterday at least attempted to do that, is to give their best every play. So no, I don't judge how someone takes a loss and how they cope or deal with losing. I can't compare. I'm never into comparing how someone deals with the loss. And so, I saw that report, and I think it's kind of tough to criticize anyone on how they respond to losing.
Along those lines, I saw you made some comments about, there's 5 games left. People are going to have to look in the mirror and kind of figure out how they want to handle this. 3-9, is this going to be a significant challenge for the leadership of this team to kind of keep everybody up and pulling in the right direction?
To be honest, I've been in a losing season like this before. It was in college, and it's a little bit different there when you're on scholarship for 4 years. This is back before the transfer portal and all of that. But in the NFL, you're working for a job. And so at the end of the day, if you can't come to work every day, no matter what the record is, to work and give it your best, and the league will have its way of weeding you out. So at the end of the day, that's what I mean. We're all individual grown men in there in the locker room. And, when you come to work, your job is to come to work no matter what, the record is. It's not saying this is easy to come to work, when you're 3-9 as opposed, to being 9-3. And so it's not easy, but that's what it's called for. That's what his job is. It's a tough job, and so no matter what your record is, your job is to come in and give your best.
Jonathan, this predates you and your time on the team, but the Patriots have had a very hard time playing in Miami. Tua has an undefeated record. Certainly when you go down and play down there in Hard Rock Stadium, it's been tough the last few years, even in the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick years. What is it about playing down there that's presented so many problems for this team?
I think they just, come with their best. Down there, it's easy to blame the elements, in which that does play a part. But at the times I've been down there, we've been down there, they just always come out and beat us. They just play better than we do. And so no matter what the elements are, we just have to find a way to turn that. And we've, tried various things, going back a few years ago, we went down there a few days earlier to try to get acclimated when we were playing them a little earlier. And so, yeah, it's, part of it. And our job is to find a way to win no matter what the circumstances are.
I'm not looking at you to point fingers, but a couple weeks ago you had like 9 sacks as a defense. It didn't seem like the last week or two that sort of marriage you guys talk about of the coverage and the pressure were kind of coming together at the same time. Is that a fair observation that like overall team defense needs to be better?
It's fair, but not in comparison to the last 3 games, I would say. The Chicago game, that's a complete different offensive philosophy. And so maybe some of the play schemes that you dial up for that, don't translate versus the past 2 offensive schemes that we faced that were kind of similar, be it about Miami and LA. And so it's just finding a way to penetrate those, offenses and find a way to, slow it down. And, specifically speaking on Miami, they do a good job of getting the ball out quick. So pass rush really isn't a factor in those games. It's more of a coverage game and, making Tua try to go through his reads and get him off the mark. So it's not as much as, rushing coverage. I think yesterday the front did a good job of stopping the run. Hats off to those guys up front. The run wasn't really a problem yesterday. They were just able to move the ball, when they wanted to and pick up, critical first downs and continue to move the drives and then had a few drives that started, on our side of the ball.
Along those lines, as outsiders, we tend to focus on Hill and Waddle as kind of the centerpiece of that offense, but it looks like Jonnu Smith, one of your former teammates, and A-Chain have sort of added secondary layers to that challenge the sort of breadth of the coverage in the field even more. Is that safe to say that they've added another layer of danger to that offense?
Oh, definitely. I think I spoke on that, last week when you guys were asking about the Miami game, and I said they're using him more. Earlier in the season they weren't really getting, Jonnu involved, and that's something, their offense has found a way to get him involved. He's a dynamic player, with the ball in his hands. Even since his time being here, he's done a lot better at, being a run block, tight end, and so they're able to keep him on the field in multiple situations and not just, defenses have the tendency that when he's on the field that it's a pass situation, and so they've definitely done a good job of incorporating him in their offense.
We're talking with Jonathan Jones. Jonathan, you guys hosting the Indianapolis Colts this coming weekend. A strong rush game with Jonathan Taylor and a dynamic quarterback in Anthony Richardson. How do you plan on going about attacking those guys?
Yeah, first and foremost is going to be, stopping the run and limiting explosive plays, and just coming out and playing good football together from the beginning, not dig ourselves in a hole, as we've done, the last 2 weeks in the second and third quarter, and just, try to get ahead and stay ahead, and that'll be the recipe to win.
Drake May told us he hates losing more than he likes winning. Would you say the same thing holds true for you?
I don't know if I could say that, but I hate losing. I hate the feeling of it. I hate everything that's incorporated with it. So I feel the sentiments.
With the remaining games here, I know you told the guys on the defense it's time to look in the mirror here for these last 5-6 games of the season. Now that you're sort of playing for pride here, more so than maybe a playoff seed, as a elder statesman on this team, is that something that you kind of take personal as a way to motivate these guys and get them to play for pride reasons for the rest of the year?
Yeah, like I said, everybody individually is in different places. And so even more now than ever, you have to come together as a team because it's, several reasons for guys to do, various different things. And so when maybe the goal is kind of shifted from what it was previously, but at the end of the day, winning. Every week you go out there and they face you an opponent. I don't care if they get rid of the playoffs or not. If we're just meeting in the parking lot, our job is to win. You want to win. And if you're a winner, no matter what it is, if they're keeping score, you're going to want to win.
Are you able to ignore your record on a play-to-play basis? I'm assuming yes. Like on a play-to-play basis, I'm assuming you're just competing with Tyreek Hill or whoever the hell is lined up in front of you. Is it safe to say that sort of the feeling of the season doesn't come into play on a down-by-down basis when you're in the competition?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. When you're out there, you're going, and I think more so than anything, it doesn't weigh in until the end, until the clock hits zero and you look up, you have the same results that you had on multiple occasions, and and that's not winning. And I think that's when it really hits. But when you're out there, you're competing. You're trying to win. As long as there's time left on the clock, which I thought yesterday guys did a really good job of fighting. When there was every reason to quit, we got the fumble return, and everybody came out and everybody was still fighting. And that was something I was trying to speak on the sideline, and you guys definitely did that.
Jonathan Jones, we appreciate the time today. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good luck.